Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as your Law Intellect. I hope you guys had a fantabulous day. Happy evening to each and every one of you guys. Please make sure you do me a favor. Hit the like button on your way in. If you're new here, consider subscribing. You may want to check out some of the commentary that we've done on other videos. Even if you're not interested in what we're going to talk about today, there may be other videos that you may be interested in. So just go ahead and scroll and peruse the site and see if there's anything that you like. But welcome to everyone that is here. I know it's late. However, my intention was I saw something on Christian Gold. A lot of you guys may not know who he is. He is the husband. Yes, Jennifer Williams did marry him over there in Vegas, of Jennifer Williams from Basketball Wives. And so they have their own blog over on YouTube. So I watch them every now and then and see things that are going on. But once she married him, I was just kind of like, wasn't really talking about various things that had to do with him. If documents came out, I will post them in the membership. And if my members wanted to discuss it, then okay, we can go discuss it on a live or something in the membership. And that's what I intended to do when I found out about the update on his probation. Because for those of you that don't know, prior to him being married to Jennifer Williams, he was convicted of, I think it's false imprisonment for allegedly keeping his then girlfriend, keeping her from leaving the house, and he was on probation. Part of that probation, there was restitution. We learned about the restitution on Basketball Wives, but then when we actually looked up his restitution, which is public record, we also learned that he was exaggerating a whole lot. Like it wasn't as much as he was saying that it was. So we've done a couple of lives when there was an arrest for, I think that was our first video. There was an arrest for the violation of his probation. We did a live on that. I also have a video of when he had to go to court for the violation. We had the actual footage from the court. So I'll probably connect that to the end of this video if you weren't a subscriber then or you never saw it. And he had to do some days in jail because of it. I think it was 30 days, but he only had to do half. But it was literally within the week of when he was having this big, extravagant wedding over there in Paris. So we didn't know if he was going to show up to his own wedding, ceremony. And so the judge was she had a lot of grace. And so she said, today you're going to go to jail. But then we're going to release you on Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was. And you will be able to fly out, get married, have your honeymoon, all that good stuff, and you can come back. So that's what he did. And he came back, and after he did the rest of his time. And then after that, he and Jennifer kind of stayed away. They weren't really on YouTube like that. But then they popped up and they have their own YouTube channel. So they've had little blogs that they have been doing on YouTube, and it sounds like they are relocating to Vegas. So, in following his probation docket, because he's still on probation, he was trying to get non-reporting probation. Now, this incident did happen some years ago. So he's trying to get non-reporting because he only has like a year remaining in his probation. And of course, the judge at first denied it because he had just gotten in trouble, had to do those 30 days. Well, he put in another request in order to have non-reporting, and just, what's today? Today it was, yeah, that's today. Today it was just posted that they are going to allow him to have non-reporting probation. So here's the document for that. All I did, honestly, was let me see if I even pulled that up. I might not even pull it up. Let's see. I actually did. So this is what had happened. This is what the order modified his probation. I just downloaded the first page, and it has, upon consideration of the request to modify the terms of probation for the defendant, Christian Walden. So his real name is Walden, but I think he did do a name change to try to change to Gold, but he was going by Gold like on Basketball Wives as if it was his name. And I think Jennifer had already hyphenated after the ceremony to go. It was just a bunch of publicity type things, it looks like. But it's, his last name, what he was born into is Walden. So it has, upon consideration of the request to modify the terms of probation for the defendant, Christian Walden, and after review of the record and applicable law, the court finds that modification of the defendant's probation is warranted and in the interest of justice. So he actually got him a good win. I think he went to court on Monday, but this was just filed today. It is hereby ordered that the probation of Christian Walden, previously imposed by this court, shall be modified as follows, effective immediately. Non-reporting status. The defendant's probation is hereby converted to non-reporting status. The defendant shall no longer be required to report in person to his probation officer, subject to the conditions set forth below. The condition of modification. As a condition of this non-reporting status, the defendant must provide proof to his probation officer of employment via contract or other documentation showing the defendant's travel for employment via email to his probation officer. So that was part of the reason why he had a violation of probation, which was the recording that I had, was because he had went out of state without permission, according to his probation officer. And all of that was like posted on Instagram. They used Instagram of him saying he was out the country. He was in LA. In fact, they were shooting Basketball Wives in LA. And so that got him caught up, being out here in the public. And his argument was, if you recall, his attorney was basically saying, look, he's had several probation officers and they all have different instructions, which is plausible. Sometimes you get strict probation officers that just like the authority. So they're like, I'm going to pop up at your house. You're going to pop up and do a drug test. I want you here on Friday at 2:00. Like, they're going to be like that. And you get some that's kind of like, all right, here's my number. If you want to go out of town, text me and let me know what you're doing and how you're doing it, and they don't really care. So it sounds like he had different probation officers, according to him, that were giving him different instructions on whether he had to actually report every time he left or whatever. But whatever the issue is, the judge still was like, that's a violation of probation, and he had to do the time before he went to Paris for his wedding. And then he had to come back and he had to finish that time. So let's finish his conditions. The defendant may continue to travel outside of the state of Georgia to maintain employment via an email to his probation officer. So now, if he wants to go out of town, before he had to seek seek permission to go out of town. And what the court was doing on a docket was giving him 30 days at a time. So it was like, yes, he can go to Vegas for 30 days for employment. So it's a couple of those on the docket as well, of him seeking permission to go out of town to Vegas, and it was granted for 30 days. So now he doesn't have to do that anymore. All he has to do is he has to email his probation officer, and that's that. The documentation shall inform the probation officer of the defendant's location and employment. The defendant shall submit such proof within 30 days of the date of this order and shall update the probation office with any subsequent changes in employment within 10 days of such change. So he kind of got a little win there, right? I was like, okay, he had a good day in court. Well, apparently, another issue that was happening and there was a letter that was filed that a lot of the individuals, they went on Simone's platform, and basically what they were saying, they were accusing him. They were saying that he took their money, and they alleged that instead of investing it, he was using it for his lifestyle. And so people were giving money and they weren't getting any results. Of course, Jennifer Williams' argument was, it's investing. Everything is a risk. I've seen it in my own eyes. I've watched the numbers go up. He knows what he's doing. I don't know what's wrong with these people. It's investment, people. And so the people, I guess, apparently he was making some type of payment arrangements with some people when all of this was going down. However, there were people that were not compensated, or they didn't get any type of refunds for what they had given. And so as a result, they have filed a lawsuit. Yep, it's a lawsuit with multiple people, and they have filed it against Christian Gold. And so within those 2 weeks, he was just celebrating, or about to celebrate. I don't think he's been served yet, but this was filed, I believe, on the 21st. So it was filed about 5 days ago. But yeah, according to the docket, I didn't see that he was actually served. So that's what we're talking about right now. That's what we are going to talk about. You know, not you saying Shirley, I mean Jennifer. You know what? She says she believes her man. And one of the people, which is interesting, there's one of the ladies that was very vocal, and her husband were involved, I guess, in whatever group that Christian put together for these investments. And he actually had a video where he was showing text messages, I guess, between him and the lady's husband. And what they were alleging those text messages were showing was basically that he was trying to say the money she was alleging was owed to her. Her husband was actually receiving the money, and that now she's going public and making him look bad and all of that. So he has a video. I would pull it, but they're not happy with us all up in their business. And so I am sure that they will probably try to copyright or flag this channel. So I'm not going to pull up that video. However, he did try to defend himself with at least one specific person. I don't watch all of their blogging, so I don't know if he tried to defend himself on anyone else. So I do know with the person, I think her name is Alteria, he tried to defend himself because she was kind of the head vocal person, because I believe she went on Tasha K. Like, she went on a couple of platforms talking about how she was scammed or whatever. So, and again, this is all allegations, Their argument is it was just an investment. And that was another thing that came up as well. We all know, because we just looked at his probation form that is on the screen, that he is convicted. And so people were like, well, how are you doing managing people's money and investing and whatever, and you've been convicted? People were asking this question. And I believe he was saying, I guess the way he fixed it or explained it or whatever, he let everybody know, I guess he's not a financial advisor, he's not licensed, he's whatever. I guess he did his disclaimers. And he just want to help the people. He want to help the Black people. He want to help the people in his community. Well, I can't say he just want to help Black people, because apparently they're saying that the white people don't really be complaining. It's the Black people when they don't see the money. So it sounds like at first there were people that did receive some money. There were some people that saw quick returns, quick flips that were double their money or whatever amount. And so they did see something. But then as the time progressed, that went away. And they're going to discuss that in this lawsuit we're about to pull up. Bible Lady said, I can't watch them either. His voice irritates me. He sounds froggy from the little rest. He does. He has that rasp mixed with something is in my throat. Like I've been screaming all day. Like, I don't know. Something with the vocal cords. Like some people that have certain things with, with their vocal cords. Maybe it's an irritation. He does have that. Yeah, like it sounds like he's hoarse all the time. Well, that's one of the things that they're alleging in the lawsuit. So we'll look at it and see. You said sounds like Nesto. Yes, please hit the thumbs up because we were on twice on today. You said, if y'all ever catch me acting like this, come get me. Tracy said, could Jennifer get in trouble since she told the people it was real because she seen it? Very interesting. So right now, if there is anything criminal, I don't know anything about it. I haven't seen that. This is a civil lawsuit that I have. So the civil lawsuit has claims in it such as fraud and RICO and all of that. But I don't know if there's any criminal liability to say trouble. And again, all of these allegations civilly are nothing but allegations, So I don't know. I think where some people mention Shirley Strawberry, what it does remind you of, and I said it before, sometimes people, and I'm not saying he doesn't love Jennifer or any of that, or that, I don't want to get into that part to just try to say, no, but there was a benefit for him to get with her. And so I think from that standpoint, I can totally see why people are talking about Shirley Strawberry, because the difference though is before Jennifer married him, all of this stuff was, well, no, I guess that's not a difference because people were in Shirley's chat too. She just was ignoring them. So I scratch that. So yeah, apparently in Shirley's chat, people was trying to warn her too. So I can't even say that it wasn't no warnings. But I will say it wasn't as big as how Jennifer's went. Because Jennifer's went to the point where they went on, not Jennifer, her husband. It went to a point of them being on like Carlos King. They went on different platforms to try to address the rumors that were out here. Shirley never came out and addressed nothing. They stayed in the chat. She went on about her life and nothing really happened until he got arrested. She's seen little things here and there, obviously, because they were evicted from properties. We know the police came to their house at least one time because one of the documents we have with, I think it's Regina Delaney, we know that they came to the house and I guess they tried to talk to Shirley. So she has some red flags. At least they were light red. You know what I'm saying? Like she really did have some red flags. But with Jennifer, it literally was, it ended up being a part of people talking about it on the tell-all. And people, like, it was bigger as far as people talking about it and knowing about it. But I say that they're similar because in similar for meaning Shirley Strawberry and Jennifer is because, of course, Shirley Strawberry had a circle of which it opened up Nesto to certain caliber of people, of which if he came and said, I want to be your security, I want to cut your hair, I want to do whatever, you would give him the chance because of who he was married to. And because he was on Basketball Wives, it also gave him an exposure to other people, which would have boosted his business, right? So it did put him in different circles or whatnot. But yeah, let me see what I missed here. Jen had a whole red light and she ran right through it. She definitely, well, it's a ticket coming now in the form of a lawsuit. Jennifer's castmates tried to warn her as well. Yes. We seen with Evelyn Lozado, we seen there was a scene where they were asking about him and someone did a background check, I think, on him. And she got berated and all of that. But yeah. No, some people like to learn the hard way. Are we sure that she ever knew that she was being evicted? Could that not have been Erica responding? Was she still living there? Worldwide collaborations. I think when you got to rush to leave out of a house because the sheriffs are coming, you kind of know you might be getting evicted. Even if she didn't find out until the day she had to move stuff, you kind of know you got evicted when they garnish your wages. That's another sign that you're being evicted. You kind of know you're being evicted when in California, there was a whole article about these evictions that were in California. So no, worldwide collaboration, I don't know. I like to try to look at every possibility, but she may not have known when the court hearings were. But while she was still married to him, all of these evictions, they were evicted out of their last property before he went to jail. So you were aware, and it ain't like she was filing for divorce at that time. We heard the phone calls. The phone call, she was, yes, hun. Okay, hun. You want me to give the lawyer how much? Okay, I can't do it today, but I'll do it tomorrow. She came out of thousands of dollars for these lawyers. And he's still not out on bail. Mm-hmm. That was when he did the whole bug infestation ahead of eviction. Yeah, that was the last eviction. Yep. She said she wasn't ready for divorce. I understand that. Hey, I ain't rushing nobody. I get it. That is a hard decision. It's like a death. So I understand that. What I'm saying is she knew. I didn't say about, she knew about it. She knew all, and she still was by his. That's why it baffles me, unless they just were living, maybe they were living in separate houses. I don't know how we got on Shirley. They were living in separate houses in March of 20 when he got arrested, because I think that's what they put on the divorce as the date of separation. But she definitely was supporting him while he first went to jail. She, at least for about a year almost. And then she stopped supporting him. Yes, Jennifer did get scammed out of vehicle. We talked about that on another video. She went to the public for their help because she got scammed out of a vehicle. And eventually that guy, I think he was indicted and they dismissed it, but he had to pay restitution or something. He stole, I think, her Range Rover or something. Then we know Jennifer dated Tim from Sweetie Pies, Big Hips, and she was on that show like talking marriage and all of that. And then I guess he turned out to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So then she was like posting stuff about him, and I guess he was stalking her, and it was restraining orders, and it was court orders, and all type of stuff. So yeah, she's had a rough time trying to find love. So, yep, on the phone call, she keeps saying, I don't want a divorce. She also said, this is the most we have talked our entire marriage. She did on the phone call. She did say that she did not want a divorce. She said, because he was saying, almost hinting at that she can walk away. This might be too much for her. He was trying, in my opinion, I felt like he wanted her to leave and it be her idea. And some of that may have been so she wouldn't become abreast of some of the things that were being alleged or whatnot. But she was like, you're not talking about divorce, are you? He was like, no, because I'm not, I'm not there yet. So yeah, he was one of the first ones kind of hinting at it and bringing it up. Like, you need to do what you got to do. He ain't just straight up say file for divorce. He was like, you need to do what you got to do. You get what I'm saying now? You get me now? That makes sense. His phrases or whatever. But anyways, guys, what I need you to do, because I haven't even pulled this lawsuit up. We just been yapping and stuff. So I want you guys to make sure you hit the like button. Since we up late, you know what I'm saying? I won't have to keep asking you all for that. All right. I'm trying to keep asking. Have to ask you guys to hit that like button. All right, let's pull up the lawsuit.
And another thing you notice, the first thing they say, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. That's what it's all about. After they get the dog you out of, before they dog you out, that's the first thing they say. If you like this video, make sure you hit.
You have 1 minute remaining.
All right, this is the complaint. This is the complaint for damages. And you see all of the different people that are on here against Christian Gold. We got a party plaintiff that is asking for $500 via Apple Pay, that he paid defendant $500. We have another plaintiff that is saying $2,100 via Zelle and Apple Pay. There is another plaintiff that is saying $4,150 via Zelle and Apple Pay. We have another plaintiff that is saying $2,800 via Zelle and Apple Pay was paid to Mr. Gold. We have another plaintiff saying $7,600 was paid via Cash App and Bitcoin. Then we have the Alteria and her husband are on here. So I don't know how true what Christian was talking on that channel, because it sounds like the husband ain't happy neither. And yeah. So, and it's interesting, these people are all over the place. You got Georgia, you got Oregon, you got Washington, you got California, you have Hawaii. They are everywhere. Then you have another plaintiff. They out of LA. They said $8,000 was paid to Christian via Apple Pay and Zelle, in person and via cash. Then we got Lachey. Then she said $7,332.74 was paid via Cash App, PayPal, and Bitcoin. Then you got someone up out of Honolulu, Hawaii. They said they personally paid Mr. Gold $7,425 via Zelle. Then you got another person out of Georgia who said they paid $9,948.62 via Cash App, Apple Pay, Zelle, and Bitcoin. Then we had someone out of Texas that said they personally paid him $1,500 via Cash App. Then you have an individual, Smith out of Washington, who said they personally paid Mr. Go $15,000 via PayPal, Zelle, and Bank of America and credit cards. $15K. Then you got someone out of Washington, Montgomery is their last name. They paid $1,000 via Zelle. Then you have someone whose last name is Lyons. They're out of Washington. They paid them personally $100 via Zelle. Then you got Knox, who paid $4,714.50 via PayPal. Then you have another individual who paid $3,600 via PayPal and Zelle. This is all alleged. Then you have someone up out of Maryland who said they paid Mr. Gold $4,393.50. Then you have someone out of California that said they paid $25,360 via Sway Markets, Zelle, and PayPal. Then you got plaintiff Gunter out of Cali, who said they paid $2,750 via Zelle. Then you have someone out of Georgia. They paid $300 via Zelle. And then we have, that's the last one. All right. And then they just talk about jurisdiction and why Cobb County is the appropriate court. So what do you guys have to say about that? Brown Mama said that one lady confirmed that Christian was to pay her husband, but he never sent it and kept sending sob stories as to why it wasn't sent. And he then offered a payment plan and stopped paying. Okay. Deborah said, is this a Ponzi? I don't know. This is all alleged. But we'll see what they allege when we get to the facts and the causes of action. Titus the Chick said, I still can't believe Jennifer married that man. That woman is touched. You know, love is love. We're not going to say she's touched. We don't know. We don't know. She may just be in love. She may know things we don't know. You know, we're on the outside looking in. We're just speculating. You said get the calculator. Oh, they tell you what the total amount is. E-Baby said, I'm trying to see if Jen don't know nothing about this or what he doing. She says she's seen that this is what he does, and she's seen the numbers go up. She's invested money, and she's made money, I guess, with him. And she's had instances where you lost money because that's what you do with investments. So I think she just believes that you get these Negroes who want to see a quick flip, and that this isn't a quick flip, because there was a comment made of that he doesn't get this type of grief from white people. So I think she believes that this is a risk that people say they want to take, and when they don't get their return as fast as they want their return, they flip out, and then they basically say they want their money back. I pray he paid that one lady who went homeless behind this mess. She gave all of her Social Security benefits money. Galatians 6:7 said, child, what he do to get these folks to drop all this money? I don't know. But hold on. Well, this isn't, it's not nowhere near that amount. Not what's in this complaint. I don't know anything about any other people. We only know what people are alleging in the complaint. So he owes money all over the country, but went to Paris for a wedding and Vegas for a real wedding, pretty much. And that's probably what is pissing people off. They're probably like, how are you guys are staying in suites, you got private jets, you are like, they video their life. So that doesn't help people that are, like you said, that one of you guys said are homeless, or alleging that they gave him this money and they have no proof that he invested it or anything. That doesn't help when it seems like you're flaunting it. And Jennifer has basically said it's not her money that he's spending. So she says she's watched him make money. So she really was legit looking confused at people trying to make it seem like he took their money. Because even on Carlos King, when they did the interview, she was talking about the super expensive watch he bought her, I guess, for Christmas. It was a Rolex, one of those super expensive ones. Then you had the Rolls Royce. I think there was an upgrade or something that he had a hand in. So yeah, it's very interesting. But then we remember Christian's baby mama came on too. And she came on and said she wasn't getting any money to take care of the kids and all of that. So they're currently in court because of that. I mean, I don't know. They could have resolved it. I got to look that up. That might be a whole nother live to do. But yeah. Now, the stuff with the baby mama. Remember when Jennifer got with him, his kids were like just born. I'm not talking about like I'm saying like 2, 1, under 1 or something. One of them might have been under 1. They were young, like 2 and under. It was 2 different kids. So yeah, this was something that, of course, she was aware of these kids and all of that. So some of this stuff is like, whatever he told her. Yeah. You said I'm being nice. No, I'm being fair. That's all. What he invested in with the money. It's supposed to be, they had these tiers. I mean, it was different things that were alleged, and that's where people got the Ponzi scheme terminology from how it was being explained. And some people really did get paid, because at one point Ateria and her husband did make money, and they talked about the money they made, and they were kind of like the mouthpiece, where in these Zoom meetings they at one point was saying, oh yeah, I got my money back. Jen claims she invested too. Yes, she did say she invested in it as well. Yeah, so let's get into the facts, guys. Let's get into the facts of this lawsuit. Defendant, so we're talking about Christian Gold, solicited funds from all the plaintiffs for what defendant called an investment. As shown in the foregoing paragraphs, plaintiffs sent defendant money, mostly via interstate wire, for what was supposedly an investment mechanism. However, defendant never had a legitimate investment opportunity. Defendant failed to take any action required with accepting investments, including complying with any administrative and regulatory requirements. Defendant ultimately ceased contact with the plaintiffs and never repaid them their initial investments, much less the amounts he promised to pay them. In total, for those that were asking for the total amount, in total, defendant took and did not return $120,000, $120,430.86 in funds from the plaintiffs. And that's going to be described as the total payments extracted whenever it's talked about within this document. At a minimum, defendant fraudulently misrepresented the investments to the plaintiffs. More likely, defendant never invested plaintiffs' money at all. So they're saying at minimum, he fraudulently misrepresented the investments, telling them what it was going to do and all of that. But they believe the more likely scenario is that he never invested their money at all. But of course, you really won't know until maybe you get into some discovery. So it's speculative. Defendant is believed to have run a classic Ponzi scheme where he paid back early investors in part with funds from later investors. Defendant improperly took most of the money paid to him for himself. Defendant also failed to adequately account for the money he received from plaintiffs and others. Over 150 individuals are believed to have been damaged by plaintiffs' fraudulent enterprise and fraudulent actions. So they speculate that there are about 150 people, even though they have, the handful of people that are on this complaint. The first cause of action is actual fraud. Defendants set up and operated a scheme to prey on plaintiffs and other individuals around the country. Defendant represented he was operating a legitimate investment opportunity. However, defendant was never operating a legitimate investment opportunity. Instead, defendant was operating a Ponzi scheme, taking money from new investors to pay older investors. Defendant acted willfully and with scienter in making such false representations through words or actions to plaintiffs and third parties. Defendant intended to induce plaintiffs to act, including by getting plaintiffs to pay defendant amounts in excess of $120K. Defendant also intended to induce plaintiffs to refrain from acting, including by withholding materially important and accurate information. Plaintiffs justifiably relied on defendants' misrepresentations or concealment of material facts. Plaintiffs are entitled to rescind any alleged contract and seek damages. Plaintiffs have been damaged because defendants fund fraud in an amount not less than $120K plus ongoing interest. Plaintiffs are also entitled to their attorney fees and costs because fraud is an intentional tort. Defendant's actions show willful misconduct, malice, fraud, wantonness, oppression, or that entire want of care that would raise the presumption of conscious indifference to consequences, and punitive damages should be awarded against them and in favor of plaintiffs to punish, penalize, and deter such conduct. Count 2 is constructive fraud. Defendant committed one or more acts of omission or commission. Defendant's actions were contrary to legal or equitable duty, trust, or confidence justly reposed. Defendant's actions were contrary to good conscience. Because of the defendant's conduct, plaintiffs have been damaged in an amount not less than $120K. Y'all know it's $430.86, plus ongoing interest. Plaintiffs are also entitled to their attorney fees and costs because fraud is an intentional tort. Defendant's actions show willful misconduct, malice, fraud, wantonness, oppression, or that entire want of care that would raise the presumption of conscious indifference to consequences, and punitive damage should be awarded against them and in favor of plaintiffs to punish, penalize, and deter such conduct. Count 3, money had and received. Plaintiff had title to and the right of possession of the total payments extracted. Defendant is in actual possession of the total payments extracted. Defendant has refused to return the total payments extracted to plaintiffs. Plaintiffs have been damaged in an amount not less than $120,430.86, plus ongoing interest. Plaintiffs are also entitled to their attorney's fees and costs because the claim for money had and received is an intentional tort. Defendant's actions show willful misconduct, malice, fraud, wantonness, oppression, or that entire want of care that will raise the presumption of conscious indifference to consequences, and punitive damage should be awarded against them and in favor of the plaintiffs to punish, penalize, or deter such conduct. Then they done threw in the RICO. You know they like RICO over there in Georgia. They don't care if it's civil. They don't care if it's criminal. It's something about that RICO they like over there in Georgia. And so let's get into the RICO charge. Not charge, I'm sorry. The RICO claim. It's not a charge, it's a claim. Excuse me. The pattern of racketeering activity, defendant attempted to commit, aided and abetted, solicited, or engaged in at least 2 interrelated predicate incidents or acts of racketeering activity in furtherance of one or more incidents, schemes, or transactions that had the same or similar intent, results, accomplices, victims, or methods of commission, or are otherwise interrelated by distinguishing characteristics and are not isolated incidents that proximately cause injury to plaintiffs. The incidents or acts of racketeering activity that formed the pattern of racketeering activity engaged in by defendant occurred within the relevant time period and include mail and or wire fraud, among others. The acts of racketeering activity extended over a substantial period of time and were sufficiently continuous to form a pattern of racketeering activity. The predicate acts: mail and or wire fraud. Mail and or wire fraud pursuant to USC section 1961 sub 1 constitute a predicate acts of racketeering activity pursuant to OCGA section 16-4-35C. Defendant used an interstate telephone call, electronic communications, and or U.S. mail in furtherance of the scheme and in the course of defrauding plaintiffs of the total payments extracted. As one example, defendant refused to give plaintiffs reports on all amounts paid to defendant, and we now know that at least some or all of those funds were misappropriated. Defendant did so with the intent to defraud. It was reasonably foreseeable that an interstate telephone call, electronic communication, and or U.S. mail would be used in defendant's scheme. Interrelationship between the acts of racketeering activity. The acts of racketeering activity committed by defendant are interrelated and not isolated incidents, that they all involve numerous transactions or purported transactions and involve the same or similar intents, the same or similar results, the same or similar victims, namely plaintiffs, the same or similar methods of commission, the same or similar benefits to defendant, and the same or similar efforts to conceal defendant's misconduct. The incidents or acts of racketeering activity committed by defendant have the same or similar intents in that they sought to obtain property, including but not limited to the total payments extracted for defendants through illegal means. The incidents or acts of racketeering activity committed by the defendant have the same or similar results, namely harm to plaintiff and cash for defendant. The incidents or acts of racketeering actively committed by defendant have the same or similar victims, specifically including plaintiffs who have been victimized by defendant's conspiracy. The incidents of racketeering activity committed by defendant have the same or similar methods of commission. Defendant used numerous and as yet unknown entities to perpetrate the RICO enterprise. Injuries to plaintiffs proximately caused by defendant's RICO violations. The conduct of the defendant set forth herein directly plaintiffs and their injuries flow directly and proximately from defendant's incidents or acts of racketeering activity, which constitute part of the pattern of racketeering activity. Defendant's actions have caused plaintiffs damage in an amount not less than $120K. Plaintiffs have been injured by reasons of defendant's violation of OCGA 16-14-4, and the plaintiffs are entitled to recover 3 times, 1, 2, 3, the actual damages sustained. Pursuant to OCGA section 16-14-6 sub C, plaintiffs are also entitled to recover their attorney fees in the trial and appellate courts and their costs of investigation and litigation reasonably incurred. And now we're at the prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiff respectfully prays that A, process be issued and properly served upon defendant. B, defendant be compelled to answer these allegations. C, the court enter judgment in favor of plaintiffs on all of plaintiffs' claims. D, the court award plaintiffs compensatory damages against defendant in an amount not less than $120,430.86 plus interest. And C, the court award Plaintiff's treble damages, that's 3 times, for the defendant's violation of the Georgia RICO Act. That was EF. The punitive damages be entered against defendant in an amount to be determined by a jury. G, the court award plaintiffs their attorney fees and costs. And H, plaintiffs have such other relief as this court deems just and proper. So that is the lawsuit that has been filed against Christian Gold. There he is right there, Christian Gold. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 plaintiffs. And they have speculated that there are 120 people. Any questions? Any questions? Make sure you guys hit this like button. I know it's 11 o'clock. It's late. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Sorry, one of those comments and I kicked myself out of this good live on my own life. Okay. Let me see. Especially for fraud and scamming. So the lawsuit is in his alias. I don't know if it was granted, but he did actually put in for a name change. But yeah. That ASAP Rocky civil suit is ASAP, including 15 John Does. Is it still going on? Got all these lights shining on me now. So should it be AKA? Well, yeah, if he hasn't changed his name, yeah. Y'all worrying about what name he gonna use? I don't know. I think he did put in to change his name. I just don't know if it actually went through. He said, if you're a scammer, ATL, you're not getting slapped with a RICO. What are you actually doing with your criminal life? Step your game up, player. Player. That's from Bible Lady. Well, some of those amounts, like $100. I think the last one was $300. Just pay these people. Like I would pay. Like you're spending more on a meal than what some of these people are saying they're owed. But that $25,000, I'd have been mad. I probably would have been sitting outside that courtroom. Like, I'm going to need my money if that's true. But again, it's all alleged. So I guess he's going to have to show where he invested it, that he actually did invest it. We just don't want it thrown out because of that. No, I get what you're saying, but you can correct a pleading. You can correct. It wouldn't get thrown out. You would just try to correct the caption. If, for instance, they try to serve him, I would assume the lawyer looked to see what the name was. But yeah, the gold portion, he goes by that. So if he has to come and say, well, that's not really my name or something like that. But that's the name he goes by. And I know he did put in for a name change. I don't know what the outcome was because I didn't follow it like that. Ben and Camille are pursuing civil based on the interview with the one juror in favor of Riley. Who are Ben and Camille? Raynette, who's Ben and Camille? I'm getting sleepy now. Let me know who Ben and Camille is, because I'm not sure. He invested their money and no one had a positive return. No, because that's not necessarily true. Because you did have, I believe, Alteria. It was a few of them that said that they got a nice return. That's what made them try to invest more money, because of how they got a nice return within a couple of weeks. So that's what they're alleging, is that it's a Ponzi scheme, because you have people that got paid at the bottom, their initial investments, and then as time progressed, because you're using the new people in an alleged in a Ponzi scheme, you're using the new people that come in to pay the early people. So eventually it collapses, because you're going to have a point where you're not going to have the money coming in and you don't have the money to pay the other people, if that makes sense. So there were some people that were saying they got paid, and then they decided, they were like, shoot, this was a quick lick. Let me go ahead and put in and invest more. And when they did the more is when they didn't get any returns, is what it sounds like. Absolutely, Miss Buckeye. Thank you so much for all the support. Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez took Relly's civil case. They were in the courtroom when he was on the stand. Okay, so those are his civil attorneys. So let me go back, because I'm sleepy now. I don't even remember what we was talking about. Ben and Camille, so they're pursuing based on the interview in favor of Relly. Are you saying like the interview from Neek at Night? That interview with the one juror that was saying that everybody thought that the gun was real. They felt like some type of crime was committed, I guess, is what she was alleging. However, they just followed the law and followed their instructions. And based on those instructions, he didn't commit whatever that crime was that they tried to charge him with. You talking about, oh, yes. Okay. So they're going to file a lawsuit, and basically, because you have to look at it like this. Some people do think, to me, I just thought Relly wasn't a good witness, and you do have to get deposed. It's just my opinion. I felt like on cross-examination, he folded. I felt like he wasn't very likable after a while, and all of that comes into consideration. There is a lower bar when it comes to civil cases. But he also, in my opinion, doesn't have damages. He's talking about knuckles being scraped. So you do have to talk about that, unless maybe he's seeing a psychiatrist who's saying that this has affected him emotionally, mentally, and all of that. So maybe that's what he's doing, and then trying to do a punitive damage, which is punishment, to deter others from doing what he did. So what I will say is, it's not uncommon for people to lose a criminal case and still try to pursue, not lose a criminal case, but the person not getting found guilty in a criminal case and then still pursuing civil, because you can look at like the O.J. Simpson case. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty from the criminal aspect, but then they presented the same information in front of a jury in a wrongful death lawsuit, and the jury found him liable for the death of their daughter. And he had to pay millions on millions. His estate probably still paying him right now. He dead, gone on to glory. So yeah. So you still can't. I just don't think that his damages are that great, and I don't think he's a good witness. But I mean, hey, maybe because the lawyers know that he filed the complaint, allegedly, I guess, based on the attorneys telling him he needed to do it. So maybe they feel like since he complied what they wanted to do, that they weren't going to stop representing him just because he lost the case. So there definitely is a different burden. Beyond a reasonable doubt in criminal is the highest burden that we have. So that burden is different than you have like more probable than not. So if it's like 50-45, you're like, all right, we'll give him something. You know, it's different for civil than it is for criminal as to the burden of proof for what you have to prove. So I'm not surprised that just because there was no criminal conviction that they actually file a civil lawsuit. I just watched him on the stand and I just would not want him on the stand again if it went to trial. Because why wouldn't ASAP Rocky still take this to trial civilly? And if nothing else, he can fight the damages. He can fight the damages and say he wasn't damaged. Cases and cams. Thank you for coming over here, Daniel Cunningham. No worries. Said good night. Sorry I'm late. Nope, it's good. I'm on late. Everybody can watch the replay. I'm just randomly talking now. I already went over what I wanted to go over. Relly is Rocky's Judas. 30 pieces of silver is 30 million these days. Yeah. Maybe I will look. Trial is set for January 2026. Okay. I thought it was, so they didn't file it until after? They didn't file it until after the criminal case? I thought it was filed already. Maybe I missed that part. But I'll see wherever it's filed at, and maybe I'll pull that if anybody's interested in Joe and all the 15 John Does on the documents. Because I know he filed a defamation lawsuit. So this must be different. He filed a defamation lawsuit against the attorneys and ASAP Rocky, I believe. So maybe this is a separate lawsuit. I don't know. I guess I have to check into it. Where is it filed at, Raynette? How is the Glory to God case going with them retaining their property? So with Glory of God, you know that Whitehead is in prison, so he's not really I think I already let you guys know that everybody that followed that Glory of God, it was a whole entangled mess on who owned the property, whether the church owned the property, somebody bought it at a tax sale. So the person that bought it at the tax sale, who was the last title owner of the property, the court did say that Whitehead, I guess it was some type of fraud with him signing it over to himself. That is crazy that somebody can just go create a deed and sign it and be like, this me. Because that's what it sounded like. I'm like, their deed system is that jacked up there? Because that is crazy. But the court did find that his deed was null and void. So the last time I talked to the people from Glory of God, it's been a while. But they did say that they were in talks. They did have their lender. And so they were going to purchase the property from Moses, who was the one that had it in trust before Whitehead took it out his name. So I looked on the docket. I really didn't see much movement, but they move so slow in New York. So yeah, they're on the verge of getting their property back. So I'll let you know whenever they get it. Sounds like a wannabe Bernie Madoff. Andrew, we might be waiting. I don't know. They move real slow. It's been like 2 years. This man has been in. So he got convicted in March of 24. He ended up being out talking too much, trying to prove to the public, which was idiotic. So he ended up getting, bringing the attention to the government. Like, yeah, he don't need to be out. He should have been remanded anyway because he was convicted based on one of the crimes he was convicted of. It required automatic remand, except there were certain exceptions. But generally speaking, he should have went to jail after he was sent. After he was convicted, he should have went to jail. So then he was sentenced, and Originally, his sentencing was July, so I think he was sentenced in what, June or something. So he been in there for a little minute. You know, he's gotten accommodated and accustomed to his federal home. And this stuff is still going on. Anderson's case is still going on. Pauline Anderson, who is part of why he's in prison right now. It's crazy because they were trying to get the case dismissed and the court didn't even grant their dismissal, which is crazy. Like, this man is in prison. What is he going to do? So then the other case that's going on with Whitehead is his campaign worker. He also ended up filing a lawsuit, and that kept getting moved because he was pro se. So they really gave him the runaround. He'd been in court for like I think he was supposed to go to court today or something. Let me see. He like texted me. Let me see. February 27th. Oh, that's tomorrow. So he goes to court tomorrow, February 27th. And what it is I think the bishop's supposed to be on the video Zoom. So I was trying to be on there, but I got court in the morning. I was supposed to have court in the morning. So I don't know. We'll see how that works. If I could hop on the Zoom and see what's going on, or the video call. So the guy went down there, the campaign worker went down to the court on his court date. They moved it like several times. And then they were like, because he was trying to get a default against Whitehead because he never responded. So the court was like, well, you know, he let him know he was in prison and all of that. He was convicted, came with the conviction papers, whatever. And the judge was like, well, he could still be on here. So they were like going to set it up if he wanted to for him to be on the little video conference, whatever. I don't know if they use Zoom, but something Zoom-like, so that he can be on the hearing. I was like, oh, that should be interesting. That's why I wanted to be on there. I said, he see my face, he might just log off. He might log off. Like, no, this lady has been a thorn in my side. So, yeah. But that's it, y'all. I think that's all we got. That's crazy. I was wondering if she would have to have the interlock thing on her car for the rest of her life until she completes probation. I don't even know who that. You talking about Erica or something? I've always felt like there was a larger real estate conspiracy ring going on that could not. Yeah, I felt it was more to it because Moses and them had information. If what they're saying is true, they didn't do anything for real to Whitehead until he took that deed and filed it. So the people behind Moses, though, it was an attorney. He was disbarred at one point. I think he currently can't practice as well. He was disciplined and disbarred, then got some federal issues. It was a lot. When I started going down that rabbit hole, I was like, yeah, no. It was a lot going on. And because when Whitehead filed bankruptcy to stop all the cases, and then when it was time to go to court, he would try to like disappear and then refile, run to the court and refile, and he was doing some trickery. And the fact that Moses and them didn't let the court know at that point, because the court basically told them, the bankruptcy court was like, some of this is looking like fraud. The way these documents are looking, like the judge was skeptical and was like, if any fraud has happened, then I need to report this to the DOJ. That is what I'm supposed to do. So when it was time for the court dates, they would just withdraw or not show up after it was like a delay tactic. They weren't really trying to do anything. So I felt like Moses and them should have like been brought this to the DOJ. Like, they were making it seem, from information I was receiving, it was giving the impression that they were going to go to the DOJ. Something big was about to happen. But when Whitehead was convicted or actually indicted, it had nothing to do with anything with Glory God. While he was there, Moses and none of them decided to turn over no documents over to the DOJ. so they could be superseding indictments. To me, they sat back and they was just trying to see what was going to happen. And so from that, it made me look at their stuff suspicious, because you're not just going to lie and put your name on some type of trust and do some cutting and pasting, and I'm just going to let you just walk around. That's not going to happen. And because of their lack of movement, I felt like it was more to it. But that's it. Yeah, he definitely hated my guts. He definitely did. I was like, what did I do to you? One day, like I said, I had been covering his case for a minute, never said a mumbling word about me. And then one day he was just pacing back and forth in his living room, and he was on live, and he just went off. He just read me for filth.
You's a clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? Huh? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you say on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he was saying about me. He's calling me bald head. He talks about my family. He said I was a failed attorney. That's why I was on YouTube. Oh, he was going in. People around me were more mad than I was, because I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, oh, okay. So what I did was I just made it my business to show up at all his hearings. I was at a Gloria God hearing. I was at all of his hearings in federal. He was mad. I told you one day when I was coming through the metal detector at the Southern District of New York, he was right behind me. He looked at me like he wanted to off me on site. I have never had anybody look at me and pierce through me like he did with his eyes when I turned around. And then to top it off, the elevators were slow, so we had to get on the same elevator. Oh, baby, I ruined his whole day. He couldn't believe I was there. The elevator, what you thought? We've been waiting for this elevator for 20 minutes. Do you think I'm going to wait for you to get on the elevator and then I'm going to come on another one because I don't want to get on the elevator with you? Whatever. We both getting on this elevator, boo. So, yeah. So that's what it was. And that is my Bishop Whitehead story. I wonder if he still goes by Bishop. Do they call him Bishop where he's at right now? So I wasn't about to. He was, it was people. Again, there was a young lady that I don't know who she was. I don't know if she was a member, but she would like catch the train or bus every day. Like she had her little backpack and she was there. And I think at first, I don't know if he knew who she was, because it seemed like the first couple of days he really didn't talk to her. And we kind of figured out, the YouTubers that were there, we kind of figured out like, oh, she there for him. And because it wasn't really any family there during the trial. Now, it was some family there during sentencing, but during the trial, wasn't nobody really there. It was all reporters, it was YouTubers, and it was a couple of guys that go to his church. They were there a day or two. And then it was a bunch of like AUSAs, like they were coming in, and the Fed, like people from the FBI, everybody was coming in, and it was like watching this show. Now the Feds, they put the AUSA, they put on a nice case. They really did. It was like one of those cases that is so much evidence. It was so overwhelming that why did you go to trial? I just thought it was crazy. They had so much. They had evidence to corroborate their evidence. Then they had more evidence to corroborate the evidence that was corroborating the evidence. That everything was 3 times over. If they had your phone that they looked inside, they had the phone record. They had the marshal to get on the stand to talk about the different cell towers and the locations. They had Where's my phone? They had evidence on evidence on evidence. I was like, this is crazy. They had emails, they had the forensic, they had the documents directly from the different banks or whatever. They had those, and they had the custodials of those records. And then they also had your computer where you sent these documents on. Then they had extracted those with a forensic expert. It was just so much stuff. It was like, are you serious? I just would have threw myself at the mercy of the court. You got me. I was trying to ride around in Rolls Royce and wear tacky Gucci suits. You got me. I confess, I'd have been like Jimmy Swaggart. I have sinned. I have sinned. But nope, he was cocky. He got on the stand and he testified and was just a lion. He was lying so terribly. It was just like the lies. So yeah. You think they making a joke out of him? I don't know. I wonder if he put out welcome mats in front. You know what, Andrew? We not doing this. We not doing that. But his wife, I started seeing her on YouTube. You know, she doing her thing. And you know, she's still doing her breakfast of champions. She going strong. Now, she was another person that moved like Shirley, where she was unbothered. She didn't care what was going on. She wasn't answering nothing. She wasn't responding to nothing. She kept her following that she had. She was taking them to go see the Bible Museum. And she was riding on the buses, and she had that baby there so the baby can pray. The baby was a little smart baby. Baby sitting there praying and worshiping and all of that. And she just continued on like nothing happened. I said, she probably sleeps so good now he gone. She probably getting peace that surpasses all understanding. Because I know he was a trip to be dealing with. But anyway, y'all, I'm out of here. Y'all done got me talking about the bishop. I done talked about Shirley. I done talked about everybody. Now I was only supposed to talk about Christian Gold. So until next time, you guys have a fabulous night. Now talk to you guys later.